One story begins with a 150-kilo shark jumping aboard a fishing boat, while the fisherman just got back enough senses to say, "Oh, wow."
Is that what you said? Oh, wow?
Yeah, something like, it was something along those lines.
Another ends with a shark bursting from calm waters, striking without warning.
Around 150 kilos, it crashed aboard.
So, before we begin, like, subscribe, and stay sharp. Because once it starts, the next moment might be yours. At 73 years old, Terry Selwood still found comfort in quiet days alone on his boat. That afternoon in 2017, just off the coast of Evans Head in Australia, everything felt routine.
In a scene straight from Jaws, a great white shark boarded a man's boat in Australia last month.
But later, it became clear that the ocean had other plans.
The 73-year-old mariner suffered a gash on his forearm, but said the incident won't stop him from fishing and joked that maybe next time he'll find a croc to wrestle. Australians, eh? Why are we not?
Without warning, something enormous broke through the surface of the water and launched into the air. It happened in a blur. A great white shark, more than 9 feet long and nearly 200 kilograms heavy, crashed into his 15-foot boat. It struck him with full force, slamming into his arm and knocking him to the floor before he could even understand what had happened.
Selwood told ABC News that the 200-kilogram fish leapt over a meter out of the water and into his boat when he was out fishing.
The shark was alive and panicked. It kicked and rolled across the deck, breaking rods, sending gear flying, and smearing blood across every surface. Some of it came from the shark itself, while the rest came from a deep wound in Terry's arm. Despite the chaos, he managed to crawl to the edge and grip the side of the boat, holding on while destruction unfolded behind him.
He had the catch of the day when this great white shark jumped onto his boat.
Terry did not scream. Instead, he reached for his radio and calmly called for help. When the rescue team arrived, they found him still clinging to the side. The shark was no longer moving. It had died from the impact. The boat, now soaked in blood and torn apart, was towed back to shore with the body still lying across the deck.
Rescuers in Australia say the man was knocked over by the thrashing shark after it jumped on board and then fought to get to his feet to get away.
The photos were almost too strange to believe. The shark filled nearly the entire boat. Broken gear surrounded it. Red streaks marked every corner. The images spread quickly across social media and news outlets. Some people thought it had to be fake.
The man walked away mostly unscathed, but sustained a few injuries in the process.
Experts later suggested the shark may have been chasing prey or misjudged its leap. No one could say for certain. Terry never claimed to understand it. He said he felt more stunned than scared. For a man who had spent decades on the water, it was a reminder that even familiar places can turn wild in an instant. Just when they thought the worst was over, another group, far across the world, found out how quickly the ocean can rise up again. One family set out for a typical morning of fishing on Cape Cod Bay. The water was calm, the air was warm, and they had done this many times before. It was a peaceful routine with no sign of what was coming next. As the person reeled in what seemed like a decent catch, the excitement began to build. Her son, Jack, watched closely, excited as the fishing rod bent under the weight. Then, without warning, the surface of the water erupted. A massive, great white shark launched itself into the air, snatching the fish right off the hook just feet from where Jack was standing.
I got that on video! I got that on video!
Should I cut it?
The shark's body arced above the water, and its tail slammed down dangerously close to the boy's hands. The entire family gasped, frozen in shock as the enormous predator splashed down beside their boat. There was no time to move, only to stare and try to process what had just happened. Doug Nelson, the father, had been filming casually. What he captured became one of the most viewed shark clips online. When he watched it back, his voice trembled as he recalled the moment. "It gave us a pretty good scare," he admitted. In the footage, a shark bursts from the water with shocking speed, snatching a fish mid-air before disappearing back into the bay. It looked unreal, almost like a movie scene, yet it was all real and deeply unsettling. After the incident, Jack admitted he had no idea the shark had come so close to hitting him. 1 or 2 more inches and things could have ended very differently. Scientists reviewed the clip and explained that while great white sharks often feed near the surface in Cape Cod Bay, a breach that sudden and that close to a boat is extremely rare. The Coast Guard later issued a warning to local boaters, reminding everyone that even the calmest waters can turn dangerous in seconds. What started as a routine fishing trip turned into a once-in-a-lifetime encounter with one of nature's top predators. The family still talks about that day, and though they continue to fish, the memory of that leap never leaves them. Because once the ocean shows you what it is capable of, the silence never feels the same again. Even seasoned fishermen weren't ready for what happened next, because the sea still had one more violent secret to reveal.
Well, how's this for catch of the day? A group of fishermen got way more than they bargained for when a huge mako shark jumped onto their boat.
Believed to weigh around 150 kilos, it crashed aboard, giving the crew the shock of their lives. Ryan Churches from Churchy's Charters.
It was meant to be a normal fishing trip. Calm seas, rods in the water, and hopeful eyes scanning the horizon for movement. Yet, for the crew aboard Church's Charters, this trip became something else entirely, something unforgettable.
Skipper on board, he joins us now from New Zealand. Mate, what a moment. How on earth did it manage to leap onto the boat?
So we had him hooked for 5 minutes previously to that, and he's jumping around, giving us a bit of a show. And then he sort of just, turned around and decided to come and join us.
Without warning, a massive 150-kilogram mako shark launched itself out of the ocean and crashed straight onto their boat, sending shockwaves through everyone on board. What started as a fight on the line turned into a heart-pounding moment no one had prepared for.
Join us.
Yeah, and when he came to join you, what was going through your mind, Ryan?
It happened all so quickly, and it was pretty surprised, to be fair. It was like, oh, wow, he's on the front of the boat.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Oh, wow?
Yeah, it was something along those lines. But I think the main thing that went through my head is, how am I going to get this thing off?
Ryan Churches, the skipper, recalled that they had the shark hooked for about 5 minutes. It had been leaping around, showing off its strength and energy. The crew watched with excitement, thinking they were in for a dramatic catch.
What is a mako shark? They're flaming big. Are they aggressive? Are they like a great white? Can they come for you?
To be fair, I don't really get in the water too often to find out. But,
Right.
I mean, with the jumping and things like that, there's got to be a certain amount of aggression there. We're very lucky that he was on relatively smaller scale as to what they do get, because I have seen some really, really big ones.
Then, without any sign or warning, the shark turned and hurled itself onto the deck. For a split second, no one moved. The shock hit them harder than the waves ever could. It happened so quickly that Ryan barely had time to react, only managing to say something like, "Oh wow, it's on the boat."
Apparently they hunt by going down deep and coming up from below their prey, and that's how they jump in the water.
Yeah, it must be something like, I wouldn't want to be the prey, put it that way.
No.
Yeah, well, we're hearing they're the fastest shark on Earth, so that's probably why.
The real concern came after. How do you get a massive, thrashing shark off a small boat without anyone getting hurt? Luckily, the shark's nose had landed toward the bow, near the anchor. With quick thinking, they lowered the anchor a couple of feet, and after a few tense moments, the shark wiggled itself free and slid back into the sea.
Did you get him off the boat?
So we sort of noticed as his nose was pointing down towards the anchor there. So the anchor sort of blocks that way through the bow rail a bit. So we put the anchor down a couple of feet, and it sort of, did a couple of wiggles and slid on out the front, thankfully. So,
Right.
yeah. Lucky to have windscreens, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it gave the windscreen a good flap, didn't it? Look, you've been doing charter fishing trips for a while. Is this the weirdest thing you've ever encountered?
Yes, most definitely.
Right.
And I like the way...
No one was hurt, but the shark left a nasty dent in the windscreen and an even bigger dent in their nerves. Though mako sharks are not known for being as aggressive as great whites, their speed and power are unmatched. They strike from below, using deep dives and explosive jumps to catch prey. That same technique, it seemed, was what launched this one out of the water and onto a boat.
To film it, was that the phone in their hand, or
Yeah, so they were excited. Obviously, their mate was catching a shark, and they'd seen the jumps before, so I guess they were trying to catch another jump. And they caught a jump, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Someone managed to film the whole thing, capturing every moment of chaos and disbelief. They had been recording the earlier jumps, not expecting what came next. For Ryan, a seasoned skipper, this was the strangest thing he had ever experienced on the water. And although he is happy to take thrill seekers fishing, he is not about to guarantee airborne sharks on every trip. If you find this interesting, then hit the like button and comment your favorite moment below. Off the coast of South Korea, two fishermen had set out for a quiet night on the water. They anchored their small boat under the stars, surrounded by calm waves and cool night air. It was a familiar routine. They had fished these waters many times and expected another peaceful trip. The rods were steady. A soft light glowed near the boat's edge, and the only sounds were the distant calls of seabirds and the gentle slap of waves against the hull. Hours passed with only small catches. It felt calm, even comforting. Then, without warning, the sea changed. A sudden splash broke the silence as a large blue shark burst from the water. In a blur of motion, it slammed into the boat with full force. One of the fishermen stumbled, nearly falling. The other froze. The shark landed just inside the edge of the deck, its body twisting, tail thrashing, knocking gear and water across the floor. They stepped back, startled, as the shark flailed with raw power. The blue shark measured 2.2 meters in length and weighed over 150 kilograms. Blue sharks are fast, strong, and agile. However, for one to breach a boat was something they had never witnessed. It left them stunned and cautious. The ocean had always felt calm and familiar, but now it felt alive in a different way. What else could rise from the deep with such force, and why did it choose that moment? They never looked at night fishing the same way again. You would think that after something like this, the stories would end. But there's something more interesting coming up next. Colin Yeager and his brother were enjoying a calm day fishing off the coast of New Hampshire when they witnessed something shocking and caught it all on camera. While filming the water in nearby boats, they suddenly saw a massive humpback whale breach the surface. In an unexpected and terrifying moment, the whale crashed directly onto the bow of a boat just a short distance away. The impact was immediate and violent. The entire boat rocked from the sheer force of the whale's body slamming down, and one person was launched into the water. Yeager's video captured the entire sequence, from the breathtaking breach to the terrifying aftermath. Shouts, splashes, and stunned reactions filled the air as everyone nearby scrambled to respond. Miraculously, no one was seriously hurt. The person thrown overboard was quickly rescued, and the boat, though damaged, remained afloat. Marine experts later confirmed the whale was likely feeding on a school of fish and didn't see the boat until it was too late. The video quickly went viral, drawing millions of views and sparking conversations about wildlife safety and responsible boating. Encounters like this are rare, but they serve as a reminder of just how unpredictable nature can be and how close we sometimes get to it without realizing the risks.
Oh my God.
For Colin Yeager, what began as a relaxing fishing trip turned into a once-in-a-lifetime, heart-pounding moment, one that was caught on film and shared across the world. If something tightened in your chest, stay right where you are. Tap like, subscribe, and keep your guard up, because the next one does not always wait its turn.